If you think it's just anime with cool robots, I'm here to tell you it's way more than that. Gundam is one of the most important and influential franchises in anime history. It's been around for over 45 years, offering dozens of series, movies, manga, novels, and many more model kits than you can even count. But what makes Gundam special and why it's one of my favorite anime franchises of all time isn't just the giant mechs. It's the storytelling, the themes, the characters, and honestly, the fandom. Let's talk about it. The Gundam franchise started in 1979 with Mobile Suit Gundam, directed by Yoshiyuki Tomino. It wasn't an overnight hit though. The original series was nearly cancelled at one point due to low ratings at the beginning, but fans stuck with it, model kits known as Gunpla started selling, and a trilogy of compilation films based on that original series helped it take off. What made Gundam revolutionary at the time was that it redefined what mecha anime could be. Instead of the superpowered robots like the classic Mazinger Z, Gundam introduced the real robot genre. These machines weren't magical. They were military tech, weapons of war, and the stories about victory, they were about survival. Gundam showed us that war has consequences, that even heroes make mistakes, that ideology, politics, and emotion all shape conflict. It wasn't good versus evil, it was everyone thinks they're right. And you see that in each series. You get the different points of view from each warring faction or military group involved and the effects that their actions have on the daily lives of everyday people and themselves as well. There's no perfect side either. Both have well-intended and malicious figures. No one is 100% perfect here. It comes down to different goals that clash. This was present from the get-go all the way back in 1979 and is still there today. Something that had me watching the original series all the way through in most recent years, even with the outdated animation. At the center of the very first Gundam series was a teenager named Amuro Ray, one of anime's first reluctant heroes. Amuro is an ordinary young man thrown into extreme circumstances when he discovers the RX-78-2 Gundam, the Earth Federation's new prototype mobile suit model. Forced into the cockpit to survive, Amuro becomes a pilot who defines what it means to be a Gundam protagonist for every series going forward. His journey isn't about glory. It's about growing up under pressure, confronting trauma, and struggling with the burdens of war. His rivalry with Char Aznable, the Red Comet, became one of anime's most legendary hero-villain, sometimes anti-hero dynamics, setting the tone for countless Gundam stories to follow. Amuro's character shows us that Gundam isn't about just mechs. It's about the human beings who pilot them, their flaws, and their growth. The original series centers around the One-Year War, a brutal conflict between the Earth Federation and the Principality of Zeon. The Earth Federation is basically the central government trying to hold onto control over the space colonies. On the other hand, we have Zeon, militarized faction of rebel space colonies, declaring independence, claiming that spacenoids, humans born and raised in space, deserve autonomy and are superior to Earth-born humans. This clash over independence, governance, and ideology quickly escalates into the One-Year War that spreads across space and Earth. Amuro's personal growth unfolds in parallel with this massive war where battles in space colonies, Earth, and D-Space all reflect the cost of this conflict. His rivalry with Char Aznable runs throughout the war and symbolizes the clash of ideals that defines Gundam as much as the mobile suits themselves. By the end of the One-Year War, Amuro and Char are legends in their own right, and the Universal Century timeline continues to build on their legacy with sequels like Zeta Gundam and Char's Counterattack. That's why the RX-78-2, with Amuro at its controls, became the face of the franchise. But what is the Universal Century timeline? This is the main timeline where Amuro's story began and where many of Gundam's most influential sagas take place. And while Amuro may be the first, he's far from the only pilot to carry the torch. Later series introduce new protagonists who face their own struggles and define Gundam in their own era. Beyond that, though, Gundam has many different tales that are told outside the main Universal Century canon, believe it or not. Gundam isn't just one big story. It's split into different timelines. The main one, like I mentioned earlier, is the Universal Century, or UC for short. But there are also plenty of alternate universes that were designed to give new viewers easy ways to jump in without needing decades of knowledge about the history and lore of the Universal Century canon. The UC is all about political drama, big wars, and the legendary rivalry between Amuro and Char, and their legacy. The alternate timelines shake things up with their own twist on the main canon. Gundam Wing, for example, is heavy on political drama and cool mecha designs that were aimed at the 90s fans of the time, with conflicts driven more by shadowy groups and power struggles than the UC's straight-up Earth versus colonies fight. The big difference here is that while UC focuses on independence and governance between Earth and space noids, Wing is all about shifting alliances, secret organizations, and who really pulls the strings in the fight for control. It also deserves credit for making Gundam really popular in the West, thanks to its run on Toonami, introducing an entire generation to the franchise. G Gundam, on the other hand, goes in a completely different direction here. With an over-the-top martial arts tournament where each country sends its own Gundam to do battle as a way to decide political control between nations instead of the traditional war. Iron-Blooded Orphans gives a darker, more emotional story of kids fighting to survive as child soldiers. And then you have Gundam Seed, which reimagines the UC-style conflicts but adds flashier battles and has a more modern take on the character dramas. Each of these take the core Gundam themes, war, ideology, humanity, and spins them in new ways that make them approachable for different audiences. And at this point, I bet you're wondering, how many Gundam series are there? And that's a great question. Way too many for me to count in this video, but based on what I've seen online, there's anywhere from 50 to 80 different entries when you include all the series and films across both the UC and alternate timelines. But if you want my recommendations for the Universal Century, I would start with my favorite 8th MS Team to get a more grounded and digestible introduction to the series, especially if it's your first time to the franchise. Then check out the original Mobile Suit Gundam from 1979, Gundam 80 War in the Pocket, followed by Zeta Gundam, Char's Counterattack, Gundam 83 Stardust Memory, Hathaway, and Unicorn. Each of these hits a different part of the UC timeline, covering space migration, the rise and fall of Zeon, and the never-ending cycle of war. They also expand on Amuro and Char's legacy, tying the whole timeline together. But if the alternate timelines sound more interesting to you, then definitely check out Gundam Wing, G Gundam, Iron-Blooded Orphans, and Gundam Seed. They're all worth a look, in my honest opinion, but no matter what you prefer, there's probably a Gundam out there for you. So I've included links in the description so you can start to explore the different titles and pick the ones you like. Honestly, with so many stories from both the UC and alternate timelines, the stage is set for understanding what really defines a Gundam in universe. Okay, let's clear this up. Not every mobile suit is a Gundam. So what usually makes a Gundam? Well, a Gundam is often a top-of-the-line prototype, built with rare materials or advanced tech, recognizable by that signature V-fin on its head, and usually piloted by someone important to the story. Sometimes a new type, a human who has evolved awareness and abilities from living in space. Now, in universe, the meaning of the word has a deep history. Before the RX-78-2 ever launched, tensions between Earth and the space colonies were already heating up. The Federation was falling behind, relying mostly on standard weapons. That's when the Federation rolled out the Gundam as a game-changing prototype designed out of desperation to counter Zeon's advantage. It wasn't just a flashy new weapon, it was a turning point. The RX-78-2 became a symbol of hope, showing that the Federation still had a fighting chance. Later Gundams like the Zeta Gundam, the New Gundam, and the Unicorn kept that tradition going, each tied to huge moments in the Universal Century story and iconic pilots from Amuro Ray to Banagher lengths. Outside of the UC canon though, the idea of what is a Gundam shifts around. In Gundam Wing, they're advanced suits created by rebel scientists to fight Control. In G Gundam, every nation builds its own Gundam to duke it out in a massive tournament instead of waging war. In Iron Blood Orphans, Gundams are relics from a long past conflict that are rediscovered and then repurposed. In Seed, they're cutting-edge prototypes that kick off a huge war between naturals, aka normal humans, and coordinators, which are genetically enhanced humans who are engineered for higher intelligence and abilities, similar to the new types. So while the exact definition of what is a Gundam changes from series to series, the through line is always the same. A Gundam isn't just another mobile suit, it's a symbol of resistance, hope, of change, and sometimes domination. It's the machine that tips the scales, and the one we know will always sit at the center of the story. And that symbolism doesn't just live in the shows, it's spilled out into the real world too, thanks to the rise of Gunpla.
The year UC-79, the first Gundams are developed.
Now we gotta talk about Gunpla, short for Gundam Plastic Model. It's no exaggeration to say that Gunpla helped keep the franchise alive, quite literally, by growing Gundam's popularity all the way back when the original series was almost cancelled. Gunpla started in the early 80s and has exploded in popularity since then. It's not just a side hobby, it's a pillar of the Gundam ecosystem. People build and customize models of the mobile suits they love, and that's a big part of the appeal. For a lot of fans, it's a hands-on way to connect with the story, something tactile, creative, and for some even therapeutic. The point of Gunpla is to let you bring the machines from the shows to life on your desk, to pose them, display them, and even paint and customize them if you want. The process is pretty straightforward. Cut the pieces from the runners, snap, fit them together, no glue required, add details like stickers or panel lining, and pose them however you like. Gunpla models come in different sizes or grades for different skill levels. Entry grade is super simple and cheap. High grade has good detail and is great for beginners, while real grade packs in a lot of details and articulation. All three of these are the same scale of 1/144th, but you also have master grade models that stand at 1/100 and the massive 1/60 scale perfect grade kits that are much bigger, more complex, and aimed at veteran builders. If you need help building model kits, no matter the grade, there are many resources online and tutorials to get you started. Based on my research, some recommended kits include plastic models of the first Gundam, the RX-78-2, the MS-06 Zaku-2 green mono-eyed enemy suit, Gundam Barbados from Iron Blooded Orphans, the sleek and flashy Wing Gundam, Freedom Gundam, Ailstrike, Unicorn, and the RX-79G from 8th MS Team. But there are so many more. If there's a Gundam, there's a Gunpla. And you know I had to get some of these model kits for myself. So I got a few high-grade models, specifically of the RX-78-2, the Revival kit specifically, the RX-78-2 Origin version, and I couldn't skip on this one. I had to get the RX-79G Gundam from 8th MS Team, because that is my favorite show of the franchise, so I had to get me that. I got another Revival version of the classic RX-78-2. This is basically a reproduction of the original Gunpla model kit, if I'm not mistaken. So that's that. So I basically have 4 high-grade model kits of Gunpla to play around with, and look out for a possible follow-up video to this one about building my first Gunpla. So I may be doing that, I'll let you guys know. But anyways, back to this video. If you're interested in getting into Gunpla as well, I've actually added some links in the description for some of these recommended models, so you can start checking them out for yourself and see the many different kits that are available online. It's really never been a better time to start your own model building journey with Gundam's growing popularity, with the recent G-Quads and the Witch from Mercury, which naturally ties into Gundam's larger influence on pop culture, which is where things really open up next. Gundam's cultural impact is honestly huge, and it goes way beyond just anime fans and building model kits or watching the shows. It helped shape entire genres of storytelling both in mecha and beyond. You can see its fingerprints all over series like Evangelion and Code Geass, and Western sci-fi movies like Pacific Rim or games like Armored Core that borrow ideas and themes. In Japan, Gundam has become more than pop culture. It's cultural history. There was a full-scale moving RX-78-2 statue in Yokohama, the RX-78F00, which did become a tourist destination. Gundam even showed up at the Tokyo Olympics as a symbol of Japan's creativity and innovation. I believe it was the unicorn, if I'm not mistaken. On top of that, Bandai and Sunrise are building a Gundam metaverse, and Netflix has a live-action film on its way. Fingers crossed, it's good or decent enough. It's not just entertainment either. Universities have published academic papers on Gundam's political themes. High fashion designers have used its imagery in runway shows. It's on clothing, sneakers, and even limited edition watches. Gundam has become a touchstone in Japanese culture and a global brand recognized everywhere. Gundam has really come a long way from its origins in 1979, kicking off the real robot genre with Amuro Ray and the RX-78-2 setting the stage for a new kind of storytelling. With the Universal Century's political dramas and alternate universes like Wing, Iron-Blooded Orphans, and Seed, there's no shortage of ways Gundam has opened its doors to new generations. Along the way, we've seen how Gundams themselves are more than just machines, how Gunpla became both a hands-on hobby and a lifeline to the franchise, and how its cultural legacy has grown to influence everything from anime and fashion to even full-scale moving statues in Japan. And with so many different series and model kits available, there's never been a better time to find your own way into the world of Gundam. You know, it's really crazy to think that the series could have been canceled all those decades ago. For me personally, Gundam is more than just anime, more than just plastic models. It's a world and a legacy built on the belief that even in war, humanity matters. It's emotional, it's political, it's messy, and that's what makes it real for me. So tell me, are you just getting into Gundam, or are you a fan like me? If so, what series pulled you in? Or what kit did you or will you build first? Let me know in the comments below. But at the end of the day, Gundam isn't just about robots fighting. It's about people, their choices, and the hope that even in the darkest times, we can build something better. And that's why, for me, Gundam will always stand tall as one of the greatest anime franchises and media ever created.